Now here's some good news for South Africans. Eskom says no load shedding is anticipated for this week. According to a late night statement, there's been a gradual improvement in the power system. Eskom says the increase in imports from Mozambique has had a positive impact on power supply. The Power Utilities Head of Generation, Andrew Etzinger, joins us now live on the line. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A sigh of relief by South Africans, and indeed, I'm sure, for those of you working at Eskom to be able to bring us that good news. Now, when load shedding stage 4 happened last week, we said there were various tube failures, breakdown of the fleet of power stations, maintenance was required. Then, of course, we had Cyclone Idai happening. Can you give us a sense of what's happened since that stage 4 load shedding happened up until this morning, that you could bring us this good news?
Sure. It's been a big relief indeed, and a trying time for the country and Eskom, as you point out. Certainly a week ago, we were in a very desperate situation. We had lines down from the Corobassa power station in Mozambique. Our own power stations were not performing well, both the new ones and the old power stations. And then to cap it all, we had our emergency power stations, which burn diesel, unable to do their normal production because of a shortage of diesel. Each of these we've worked on extremely hard, of course, over the last week. And just to take them from the top, Corobassa, the importation of the power from Mozambique back to 75% of its normal levels. There's still one line which is down in a flooded area. We need to wait for the waters to subside before we can get that line back into operation, but so far so good. Our own power stations, yes, the performance is significantly better than where it was a week ago, and glad to say that our technicians have managed to address most of the problems which crippled us last week. And then as far as diesel is concerned, again, that is flowing at both of our power stations down in the Cape. So all in all, a good start to the week. We've so far not actually needed to even burn diesel, so this has been a very good start. And we'd like to keep it that way. So from our side, we really appreciate the frustration and anger of the public. We understand, but also we count on their support. So we appreciate that.
And now, if we could just focus quickly on one of those issues being around the supply of diesel. You'll find many South Africans amongst themselves speaking about diesel like experts over the last week or so, because it's been such a major talking point. We're told that you have received more diesel to burn for their open cycle gas turbine usage. What was the issue specifically around diesel and why it was so hard to come by, and what has changed now since the issue started about a week or two ago?
Our primary supplier of diesel is Petro SA, which is a refinery in the Cape, and unfortunately, we simply pushed them too hard. We'd burnt a huge amount of diesel, in the order of about 100 million rands worth of diesel per day, and Petro SA was simply not able to keep up, bearing in mind that they not only supply Eskom, but they supply the country to a large extent with diesel as well. So this was, unfortunately, a case of running out of product on their side. There were ships which were on their way to dock with additional product, which happened last Thursday, and we could start taking delivery of the new product as it flowed through to our stations after that. But certainly that was the reason for the problem. It was simply the rate at which we were consuming product from them. So we don't blame them. It was a difficult time for everybody.
Now, with that press conference that we saw held by the Public Enterprises Ministry and indeed Eskom, it was announced that there'd be an investigation by government to look at the causes behind this load shedding. But a lot of time was spent at that press conference speaking about a lack of maintenance that has taken place for some time now at Eskom. Over the last week or so, can you give us a sense of the kind of work around all-important maintenance that was not done over the last few years? Were they able to make any inroads into that maintenance to try and dent the lack of maintenance that's happened over the last while?
This is a critical issue, and one of the reasons that we were short of capacity is that we've not cut back on maintenance as we've done in past years when things got tight, and we can't afford to do so. So certainly, even as tight as the system was, there was still a lot of maintenance being done. If I put a critical, essential, good maintenance, if I can put it that way, which we didn't cut back on. We'll be continuing with that maintenance into winter, which will put a slightly higher degree of strain on the grid. But again, we need to get the plant into working order. Maintenance over the last 3 years was inadequate. We need to catch up. Painful for the country, painful for Eskom. It's going to cost money. It's going to take time. But we're on the right road, and I think we're seeing the early signs of success in that regard.
Now, South Africans have been really down in the dumps about whether or not they've got power when they come home to their families at night, or when they have to get done to try and get to work, and that has an effect on traffic. But behind the scenes at Eskom, there are thousands of South Africans really trying to keep the lights on. Can you give us a sense of what the atmosphere is like amongst the staff during this difficult time?
It's tough, and of course that both from a workload and work pressure and stress point of view, which is extremely high. But of course we are South Africans as well, and when we interact with our family and our friends, of course we coming for a bit of a bashing as well. So it's a difficult time, I think, socially, but professionally as well. The good thing about Eskom is we do have world-class engineers and world-class technicians and operators at our site. Not in all cases, but certainly we have the skills, expertise, and most importantly, the attitude to get the work done and to stay on the job until it's finished. So I'm really proud of the colleagues which have worked day and night over the last time, over the public holiday, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. We were on the job and we got it done, and it's in a much better situation this morning. So again, to any Eskomites listening, to colleagues listening, well done and thank you.
Now, before I let you go, just in terms of the short-term outlook, good news today, but we're not out of the hoods yet, are we? What can we look forward to over the next coming days and indeed the coming weekend as well?
Yeah, for the coming week, unless something goes badly wrong, we are looking very healthy, in a very good situation. We're not expecting load shedding during the course of this week or for the coming weekend. But as we know, things change. So let me not make predictions beyond this week, but certainly this week is looking favourable.
We're going to leave it there for now. Head of Generation at Eskom, Andrew Etzinger, on the line there. We thank him for his time and for that update and taking us into his confidence.